This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Kia ora. Welcome to Emergence News. The purpose of this program is to discuss the emergence of Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. It is the externalization of the hierarchy which is well documented on this program. On today's program, this podcast, this recording, we will discuss the existence of the spiritual hierarchy, the fact of the kingdom of God. So today's topic is the spiritual hierarchy. They are people like us who have gone before us in evolution and who have always guided and inspired us, humanity, from behind the scenes. Today, two of my colleagues on the program will explain more. And John, you're first up today. The existence of the masters, the hierarchy. That's your task, sir.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Nigel, because I sort of ducked and dived a wee bit there. And I came up with the way the masters work.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
they're close.
Because
close.
Clearly the hierarchy.
Love what you're doing with your facial hair at the moment, mate. You're looking pretty damn good.
Well, I've got someone else who needs to look sharp as well in this place. Tell me, the hierarchy. It's obviously a big organisation. There's a lot of individuals involved.
Nigel, can you call them individuals if they are masters? Peter.
Yes, well, they seek to be work together. They're in constant contact with each other at the intuitional level, and so they know what each other's up to. They know where they are. They know what things. They just know these things.
So I'm not sure individuals is the right term. In fact, this little excerpt I've got from Benjamin Croon's book says there is only one divinity.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Because they are at a level of consciousness that we aspire to it, but we're not there yet.
No, I guess...
we don't even know that we aspire to it, actually.
I'm not even sure we know there's a ladder to climb yet, to be quite honest.
Well, we'll have to revisit the subject of evolution.
Yeah.
And also, of course, you, Peter, today you have the pleasure to talk in detail, specifically of an example of one of these masters.
That's right, Nigel. We're talking about Joel Kuhl, and he's been involved, of course, with a lot of the literature that we've got, and so we will talk about that. And he's probably our most well-known one that from any of our readings, and right back from Blavatsky further forward.
Yes, he's had a lot of direct contact with humanity since that time, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. Yes.
The Tibetan, that's another
That's right. Yes.
name for him.
And he originally said he was the youngest master around, but
I didn't know that. There we are. Tell me more. We've got a new
That's why I like
pearl of wisdom there. Isn't it lovely? Yeah, the Tibetan, and of course, I guess that's an affectionate term for him now.
Yes, that's right. He is evidently still involved, as time permits, as he says, as an abbot in one of the Tibetan, facilities that they've got there.
It's a great topic. Really looking forward to today's program. Before I hand over to John, I've got a interesting piece of information to pass on to you. Over the years, here at Share International, we have often been asked one particular question about the masters. And that question is, why are all the masters men? Are there no women masters? So I've found an answer which I think might help explain the situation. I found a response from author Benjamin Creme from his Maitreya's Mission Volume 3 publication. And here's what he says. There are no masters in female bodies at the present time. The masters, in a sense, are neither male nor female. They have brought both of these aspects into total equilibrium. On the soul plane, there is no sex, no male or female. There is simply one energy with two poles, one positive, one negative, as in electricity. There are the same energy in polarity. The masters are perfected souls, so they have brought both into equilibrium, but when they take their physical body, which not all do, some 2/3 of the masters today, that is about 40, are in dense physical bodies. They take a male body at this time to anchor powerfully in the world, the energy with which they are so strongly endowed, the male or spirit aspect, to relate to the much greater matter aspect as it manifests in the world today. This is to do with the point in evolution reached by this planet. In about 350 to 400 years, this will change, and then the masters will come into female bodies until there is a balance between masters in male bodies and masters in female bodies. So it has nothing to do with any kind of bias against women or the female aspect. On the contrary, Krem says the masters are the stimulus behind the women's liberation movement. They see it as essential that women take their full place in total equality with men in this new age, the age as it will become to be known as Tara, the mother. The age of Maitreya is the age in which the mother aspect manifests. The female is the mother, the nourishing aspect. It nourishes the child, the family, the civilization.
Nigel asked me to touch on the spiritual hierarchy, and it gave me a few leads. One of them was, what are the qualities of a master? It's actually a really big question, I think. So I launched myself into the BC bookcase, the Benjamin Creme bookcase, and I came across his book, The Great Approach. There's a section there entitled The Way the Masters Work, and it's page 172 I started with. So Benjamin Creme's talking about humility. And his master says to him, his humility will astound. And they are referring to Maitreya. Benjamin Creme goes on to say, you have not seen at his level the qualities of divinity. One of the major qualities of divinity is humility, because the major expression of divinity is lack of self or ego. There is no one to be proud. It is as simple as that. It is not as if Maitreya goes around being humble. You are humble if you have no ego. It is the ego that produces the vanity and glamour of pride. Maitreya does not have any glamours. He has no pride. He says, do not worship me. If you worship me, you are trying to lower yourself. I do not want this. I want to be your equal. You are a spark of the Supreme Being. Do not think you are below me. Now, people may find this hard to believe, but it's true. There is only one divinity, and that is shared by everyone, by you and Maitreya and everybody else. On that level of divinity, there is neither up nor down. There is simply divinity. There is a difference, of course, between us and Maitreya. We have not demonstrated the divinity, which is only potential within us. He has fully demonstrated it, and so there is nothing left to alter the instinctive, natural humility of divinity. The opposite of humility is pride, arrogance. If there is no ego to be proud or arrogant or vain, what is left? Humility is left when pride and self-love are not present. It is a natural given state, not something you acquire. You acquire arrogance, conceit, and glamours of all kinds, but you cannot acquire humility. You can acquire a humble attitude, but that is something quite different. That is the Charles Dickens Uriah Heep type of humility, which is totally unreal. It covers all the glamours of its opposite. When you are a master, you will realize it is the given state that you see because he is not assessing himself. It does not occur to him to say, how am I doing in relation to this? Am I getting across? Am I making myself felt? Did I impress them when I said that? It would never occur to a master to do that. He has no sense of the separate self. There is no person in the way of the higher self. You are seeing a person who is the immortal divine self, and therefore what we would call humility is the totally natural expression of that self. Humility is the natural expression of the soul. It is the self with a small s. The ego gets in the way when you are something false. His is the natural state, and people will be astounded that he does not place himself above humanity. That is why you will probably be absolutely awed by the simplicity, the utter, holy simplicity of that being. That could be an example. Examples are great, but just do not imitate. Now, it's interesting because that concept of ego, and we've discussed ego often on this program, and I just want to finish off with, he talks about the master Serapis, and I knew very little about this individual. But Graham goes on to say his main work is with the devic or angelic evolution, a huge parallel evolution to the human. He is also a great inspirer of art or music. Benjamin Krem's talked about angels or devas a lot, and this is a key idea that he's given us. Angels or devas range in evolution from subhuman to the human to the superhuman. Everything in cosmos is becoming human, is human, or has gone on beyond the human. We are the midway point between matter and spirit, through which all evolution goes. So when we talk about the masters and their understanding of being human, they have all been human. I love that idea, and it's a huge idea. Everything in cosmos is becoming human, is human, or has gone on beyond the human. So when we talk about Maitreya, when we talk about the way masters work, when we talk about the hierarchy, they have been human. They understand what we are dealing with.
They understand the journey.
They understand the journey, Nigel. And I guess my final point is we battle with the ego daily. And the key's not to battle, but just to observe. Krishnamurti has a famous quote, "I will observe without condemnation." And I want to go on to add that self-reflexivity produces the feedback that can indicate your ego's activity, that ability to watch our own behaviour. And this is how we start to become divine. A key to our own behaviour, that which is strongly and consistently annoys us when observed in others. What defeats the ego? Honesty, sincerity, and detachment. And I think detachment defeats the ego. And the starting point is that honesty. So when we talk about how do the masters operate, they operate from a level of detachment. When we talk about hierarchy, their detachment is so great that they operate as one.
They embody group consciousness.
They embody group consciousness because there's no barriers. There's no barriers between the individual. So yeah, it's a fabulous concept that we can go where they are now.
And will go.
And will go. Mm. Yeah, particularly if I keep hanging around with you two.
let go of the motorbike.
This is Emergence News. Thank you, John. Certainly gets you thinking. Group consciousness. Okay, over to you, Peter, and you're going to look at the Tibetan, the Master DK.
Yep. Thanks very much, Nigel. Yes, the Master Joel Kuhl has been involved, of course, with the Alice Bailey books, using a mental overshadowing from his abode in the Himalayas, while she was in England and the USA. Before that, he contributed to Madame Blavatsky's books Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine. It seems a simple process once training has been given and the disciple is advanced enough and mentally polarized, which usually means a beyond second degree initiate, doesn't it? And I love the way he starts each book, and he uses such phrases like, "I make no claim for their acceptance. They may or may not be correct, true, and useful. I mean, how incredible is that to say that about what and he's talking from a point of what we consider truth. And he can say that you may not, they may well be true. It's up to you to ascertain their truth by the exercise of your intuition. So these books are actually fantastic in the sense that they are coming from this space that John was talking about, and not from any ego. They're coming from spirit realm, aren't they?
Yeah.
And so imparting information, there's no ego attached. There's no question of trying to impress anybody. It's just, here's the information, do with it what you wish.
Please yourself, or whether you take it on board or not. He says that he is a brother of ours who has travelled a little longer upon the path than has the average student, and therefore incurred greater responsibilities. He sees his work as to teach and spread the knowledge of the ancient wisdom. I seek also to help the Masters Moira and Katumi, for I have long been connected with them, he says. 5 of his books are to do with the science of the 7 rays, which we have touched on from time to time. We haven't gone into them in any great depth. But the first 2 books are called Esoteric Psychology 1 and 2, and these are about the 7 rays. So it's going to be a while before psychologists take on board this tremendous work of understanding the 7 rays. It's going to be a long process unless we're given some enlightened way of looking at things.
We need some education on this.
And the other 3 books with regard to the 7 rays are Esoteric Astrology and Esoteric Healing, and then there's the Rays and the Initiations. They're fantastic titles, actually, if you think about it. They excite me. I don't know about you, but honestly, they're amazing sort of titles. They have so much material in them. You could read them and reread them and reread them.
Yeah.
Materialistic science, of course, explores the outer manifestation, which are the effects of the inner energies that esoteric writings expose. And not until we understand the inner workings of energies and where they come from will we know how things really work. So science is often looking at dark matter, which we know is etheric energy. And these energies are actually the cause of manifestation, of planets being visible, of star systems existing. And so these etheric energies are just a lower form, actually, of the spiritual energies that exist right throughout cosmos, throughout the universe.
I found it fascinating. You mentioned on the previous program that etheric energy actually can be photographed.
Yes, that's right. And the Kilner screens, of course, photograph not only etheric energy, but also the astral energy, the colours of our own bodies. So, they've actually got the techniques to do this. And people can do healing once they know the colours and where the pressure points are, where the problems exist.
Auric energy.
Through looking at your colours and that sort of thing. So, yes, it is a fascinating study, and it's only really the beginning of the things that we will know. One of the DK's books that Alice Bailey wrote down, The Externalization of the Hierarchy, is what we speak about, of course, on this program as our Lord Maitreya steps forth as the teacher for the New Age and brings with him about 40 Masters of Wisdom. They will teach and guide us in this new age of Aquarius, the age of brotherhood of man, and a new society, all concerned for the greater good of all. and less about themselves. We will truly develop our minds and heart centres and become mind-kind instead of mankind. Mindkind is really the true expression and the true meaning of mankind. Some of the other books by Alice Bailey, which I find fascinating: Initiation, Human and Solar, Letters on Occult Meditation, The Consciousness of the Atom, which is a fascinating little book.
Ernest Rutherford would be interested in that one.
One of the smallest books. I mean, most of the books are 700 or 800 pages long, but The Consciousness of the Atom
Agreed.
shows you that consciousness exists and has created the atom. The atom is sort of like the material building block of life as we experience it on the physical plane. The treatise on cosmic fire, which is really big volume. The Light of the Soul and its mechanism. From Intellect to Intuition, which is a fascinating book. We move from intellect to intuition. We think intellect is the be-all, end-all.
Dominant.
And it is, as far as the dense physical being is concerned. But beyond that, we can pick up on intuition. And a lot of people already have well-developed intuition. A treatise on white magic. So there is magic. Magic exists from Bethlehem to Calvary. Discipleship in the New Age, 1 and 2. Problems of humanity. The reappearance of the Christ, which is what we talk about here. The Lord Maitreya. The destiny of the nations. So there's something in there for all the nations. He gives the ray structure of each nation. He gives their soul ray. He gives their personality ray. For instance, England has a ray 2 soul and a ray 1 personality. Funny that Germany also has a ray 1 personality, hence the conflict sometimes. And obviously it has a ray 4 soul and produces some of the most fantastic musicians.
Interesting.
Yeah. The ray 4 is the ray of music and art. So we have telepathy and the etheric vehicle, and education in the New Age, which is a real good guideline for the way things should be going.
It's interesting, education in the New Age, because that was one of the podcasts we did a few years ago, which has proved to be very popular on YouTube. So interesting, you should finish on that note. Thank you so much, Peter. And those books that you were listing, written by Alice Bailey and the Tibetan Master DK, if you're interested in finding out more about those books, you can go online via the Lucis Trust, and that magnificent body of work is available from the UK. And John, you've got some info on Benjamin Cream's work.
Actually, you'll get Lucis Trust books in some libraries as well. You'll get Alice A. Bailey in some libraries. You'll also get Benjamin Cream's books in some libraries. Otherwise, you can order Benjamin Cream books through the Share International magazine or through the Share International website. Interestingly enough, on the Share International website, some of the books are available as free downloads. So check your local library, check the Share International magazine for an order form, or go online to Share International for those books. All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org, and also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.